Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez, and you are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. Let's get the business out of the order. Get it out of the way. English is not my first language. I just want to let everyone know that. ESL por vida. Anyways, if you are watching here, wow, I am on a roll today. Could you tell that I'm a little rusty when we don't do shows? You know that one off day that we have during the week really messes me up. So
It's all right.
uh,
It's like riding a bike. You got this. You got this.
you got this. All right. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you guys in the comments section. Make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram's Threads and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Let's start off the show with a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Amy, I know last time we had a little debate here in terms of base running blunders, whether we're going to do them only if we have them. Well, guess what? I'm sorry. It's my bad. We have a base running blunder.
Did we ruin our streak? Oh.
No, I ruined our streak.
We
So
take turns. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm assuming you don't have any, right?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
What you got?
So this is what I got. In a previous episode, I had mentioned that the Dodgers streak of scoring 5 runs a game had ended at 9 games, and it turns out it was at 10 games. So that is my bad. My bad.
But I think at the time we were recording, I don't know if we had hit that 10 yet. So I don't know if that was
no, we had it was just my bad. It was my because that was on Monday's episode, and by then the Chicago series had already ended. So my apologies for the team. I will do better. I promise you I will do better.
It's all right. We have grace here. It's okay if we're 0 days since the last base running blunder. It's fine.
Exactly. So look, guys, we know that there is a lot of news out there. So we're going to focus on baseball in this episode. We are going to get to that other news that's out there on our next episode. So if you're tuning in for us to get an update on the madness that's going on with eBay, and more stuff is coming out as we speak, we're going to get to that. But this episode is just going to be heavily focused on baseball. So Amy, let's start by recapping the series between the Dodgers and, as someone from Minnesota told me, it's not Minnesota, Juan, it's Minnesota. So the Dodgers went to Minnesota and they won 2 out of 3 in that series. Amy, what did you see between the Dodgers and the Gemelos?
I think the big standout, I still have to go back and catch some of the stuff because I was working on some of those days that they played. But man, Tyler Glasnow, best gift on my birthday. 14 strikeouts. Like, what a game. Totally turned it around. Like, he didn't have a bad game when we saw him at Dodger Stadium, but like, hats off, dude. 14 Ks. I know there were a couple records. Like, he's in good standing with some of the other pitchers from the franchise, but he had a really great game.
Yes, he did. I mean, look, I get it because people are going to sit there and go, well, Juan, you said on the last episode that the Gemelos they were 30th in average in all of Major League Baseball. They were 29th in runs. He should have pushed the way he did, but still, it was very impressive. That's who my Care Bear stare goes to. At least one of my Care Bear stares goes to Tyler Glasnow.
But keep in mind, too, teams also play up to us. So for what grain of salt you took Mookie's comment with in I think it was spring training or right before spring training at FanFest, like, people play up to the Dodgers. So even if they may not be doing great in other aspects, they're going to bring their A game when they play us. So it's not just like people are rolling over when Tyler's on the mound or anybody else.
I mean, he was super impressive. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits. You mentioned the 14 Ks. His ERA is now down to .25. And he just looked dominant. I think
no walks, like nothing. Like he was cycling through them.
I don't know what's more impressive, Amy, the 14 Ks, the no walks, or the fact that he was so efficient. Like I believe he was under 90 pitches when they finally pulled him.
He actually was at 88, and 65 of those were for strikes.
Yeah, so Tyler Glasnow, to me, gets one of the Care Bear stares. Another person that I would like to get a Care Bear stare to, a very encouraging, was James Outman, fellow member of the Stalloner's Club. I think he is starting to show signs, hopefully, that he is coming out of it. Because that last, especially the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, and I know we're going to get to that here in this episode, they have been struggling to start this season. So to see fellow Stalloner Club member James Outman just coming out there, he hit 2 home runs. He ended up going, he went 3 for 11. No, actually 4 for 11 in the series. So, and someone had pointed this out before in the Chicago series. He was hitting the ball hard. He was just hitting it right at people. And everybody always says that, things will even out in baseball. So, yeah, you hit those hard outs right at people. Eventually, the ball will drop for you. So, I'm very encouraged. I'm hoping that he is about to go on a tear. One of the things I know Oral Hershiser mentioned during the broadcast in one of the games is that James Outman had changed his swing a little bit. And I know there's a lot of people here who are fans of the Silver Fox. They had referenced the Silver Fox, Chase Utley, in terms of Chase Utley's approach to the ball. He's very short and quick to the bat. And it seemed they were showing clips where James Outman was shortening his swing, and therefore it resulted in 2 home runs. So I'm very happy. That's another Care Bear stare for me, for the fellow Stalloner Club member, James Outman. So 2 Care Bear stares for me, Tyler Glasnow and James Outman.
Sorry, I was preemptively giving my praise to Will Smith when you Care Bear stared. I got right in the way.
I'm sorry about that.
All that glitter.
Who are your Care Bear stares?
Well, Glasnow for sure. And then Will Smith hit that 3-run home run the inning after James Outman did. And it was just, I so enjoy watching him. I know he's coming up after like the top 3 hitters, and that's gotta be, again, people will argue like the big 3, maybe the big 3.5, big 4, like just seeing him succeed at the plate. I love it. I think he's a very underrated catcher. I think he does a great job, and it was just really good to see him hit that home run.
I mean, so your Care Bear stare is Will Smith and Tyler Glasnow?
Yes. Are we limited to Care Bear
No,
stares?
I'm not. So that's why I'm saying 2 Care Bear stares, or do you have more?
No, I think I'm good with that for right now. I mean, Muncy had some good plays in these games too, so he can have one too. Care Bear stares for everybody.
Look, the Dodgers won 2 out of 3. They were very close. That third game of the series, the rubber game, they were that was a close game. It was a 1-run loss. The Dodgers could have swept, and I was going to pick the Dodgers to sweep that series, but thankfully Amy talked me out of that when she told me the weather was going to be bad. So I think we both ended up picking 2 out of 3 in that series, right? So we take that, Jose Ayala.
Wait, whoa, we're not fighting with Jose. We're not fighting.
Calls us out and says that we can't predict games. So yes, we did good on that series.
You be nice to Jose Ayala.
One of the other things I do want to point out, though, is James Paxton. James Paxton has now made 2 starts on the season. Look, he went 6 innings in his start against the Gemelos on Monday. 3 hits, gave up 2 runs, 4 Ks. His ERA on the season is 1.64. Look, if you're number 5 starter now, of course, the question is, can he continue to do this? But if those are the kind of numbers you're going to get for your number 5 starter, I will take it.
Well, and if we're going like between a 5 or a 6-man rotation, depending how we continue to do this till we get some of the other pitchers back, 5-man rotation with a bullpen game, however you want to call it. I mean, I think that's going to give them some of the rest that they need to. As long as we're not dipping into the bullpen too soon and taxing those guys, I think we're on a good run. Now, obviously, some of the bullpen stuff kind of hurt us, but you know, we'll get there.
Okay, so before we get to that bullpen stuff, I want to give some Flores, not necessarily Care Bears there, but some Flores because I had called him out on our last episode, and that was Michael Grove. I was really concerned about Michael Grove. In particular, his ERA was over 11. But I have to give him some Flores because I think that was an important outing for Michael Grove on the last game, the rubber game on Wednesday. He went, let's see here, he went 2 1/3. He walked 4 Ks. I mean, most importantly, it was scoreless baseball, 2 1/3, and because that's what his job is to give the Dodgers multiple innings, and for him to do that scoreless, bounce back from his previous poor outings, I hope that is encouraging. Again, with everything with Major League Baseball is it's consistency, right? So you want the
Which is like
consistency.
it's like the antithesis of baseball at the same time. We want consistency. Baseball is like the lack thereof.
Right, exactly. Like I want to see more outings like that, more of those than less of the ones that we've seen in his previous outings. So hopefully,
I'm sure he wants that too.
so I'm hoping that Michael Grove, it's promising signs because I think he is going to play an important part in this bullpen, especially the way the Dodgers have him and Ryan Yarbrough, how they plan to use him in the bullpen. Okay, so we got Care Bear stairs out of the way. We got flowers, and here the Flores. Here comes Amy's favorite part of the show, where we go with the bad. Amy, do you want to start off, or do you want me? Do you want me to ease you into this?
I'll start with we definitely have a couple things to improve on. And I think if we're seeing it, I'm sure the front office is as well. But we had those 2 games that Vesia came in relief and gave up a home run, and it's going to happen, right? It just sucks when it happens 2 nights in a row, and then one of the games it ends up being kind of the tide turner in that instance.
Yeah, poor Vesia. I caught a lot of strays, and all
Yeah.
I have to say about this, about Vesia, guys, I know like everybody's just like get him off the team. They want to send him as far away as possible. All I will say about Vesia is this: last year he started the same way. If you go back and you look at Vesia, he really struggled at the beginning of the season. He got sent down, and in particular, in the beginning of the season, his fastball was getting hit hard, and that's what it looks like is happening this year. He got sent down, and I don't know what he did or what they did to him, but when he came back up at the end of last year, he was much more efficient, and especially with his fastball. So, as much as everybody wants to just dump on Vesia, I can't stress this enough, guys. Right now, he is literally your only left-handed option, and that's because Ryan Yarbrough is used in a very specific way. Ryan Yarbrough is a pseudo starter. He's there to give you multiple innings. He's a long relief guy. Is Ryan Yarbrough? So in situations where the other team's got a bunch of lefties, they're going to turn to Veste because you have no other options. And I I think you just need to be a little more patient. We're barely getting to mid-April, guys. So I understand it's frustrating to watch, but look, the same thing happened last year, and he turned it around. Who's to say he can't do it this year?
And not to like make light of it, like, oh, it was only 2 home runs. Like, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't at bat. They were solos at least. So it wasn't like, a bunch of runs came in. In the Tuesday game, we had enough runs from the offense, so we were good. In Wednesday's game, it was a little rougher, but it wasn't just him. So Connor Brogdon had a little bit of a rough start his first time out, and that doesn't feel good for anybody. Like when he was pitching, and I saw, it was just like, oh, poor guy. Like nobody wants to come out. I wonder how much of that is adrenaline and nerves, and just like the fact that you're a Dodger, like you're pitching for the Dodgers. Like how much does that play into it? And then he managed to, like, the team backed him up on a couple of the other ones. I think it was it Mookie who leaped into the air and saved him on against Buxton in one of those plays? Or no, it was Freddie. Freddie he caught the ball, came up and came right back down and still got the out.
You are much more positive than I am, Amy. All the Philly fans, and that's where he came from, was the Philadelphia Phillies. They all say he's done. He's just not good anymore. And it's tough. And I know you're positive, and I know you just gave me a sigh.
Well, no, it's more like, well, what are we gonna do? Like we just let go of Lamet and I think Chrismet. I don't know if he ended up signing like a minor league deal or something like that, but was it Chrismet that got the minor league?
Well, that's I don't know what happened with Chrismet, but I know that Lamet cleared waivers and he's back in Oklahoma City. But that was what I was going to tell you, Amy. And that's why when I was losing my mind when Brogdon came in and gave up those back-to-back home runs, because they weren't like, they were shots. Like he got hit hard. And all they kept doing is I was screaming at the television going, we put Lamet on waivers for this?
I think you and I were texting that as it was happening. And like the first one he gave up was to Correa. And I was just like,
that was a shot. That was a shot.
Of all people.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. And I get it. The Dodgers, Andrew Friedman, and that's one of those things that I tell this to Dodger fans is like, man, you got to put your Andrew, you got to think like Andrew Friedman. All right. So when he's making these moves, as much as you're just like, wait, I don't understand. This guy was pitching well. Like poor Chrismet pitches well. And then the next day, thank you for coming, sir. You can leave now. Lamet had a couple good appearances and now he's gone.
And we don't know what they're seeing with Brogdon. So maybe he really did just have one bad day. Maybe his next outing is great. We don't, it's one sample size, very small. It's a snack. It's unfortunate, but we had enough runs to bolster him at least.
Yeah, thank goodness. And I will say this, Amy, I do think Brogdon's numbers, days are numbered. It's only because, look, we talked about this on last episode. We gave you an update on Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler is coming. So there's going to have to be a corresponding move there once Walker Buehler comes. So one other thing I want to mention to you before we move on, Amy, is Bobby Miller went 4 innings, and we were all hoping that Bobby Miller would bounce back from his start in Chicago. Now, I will not say that it was a bad outing by Bobby Miller, but I think now, unfortunately, Bobby Miller has to deal with expectations. So whenever Bobby Miller is on the bumps, the fans expect a certain Bobby Miller performance. And he went 4 innings, so he did give you more than what he gave you in Chicago. To me, the concern was, again, you saw him struggling with his breaking pitches and with his command. So what is that all about, Amy?
He could just be having a couple rough days. Maybe the travel didn't agree with him. I don't know. But something I think we forget too is people are constantly watching tape on these guys. And if they're going to watch, they're doing it across the league, right? But if they're going to do it, it's going to especially be against the Dodgers. So in that respect, you don't think people are trying to figure him out? Bellinger went through the same thing. Outman last year, you don't think people are trying to figure these pitchers out so that they can beat them? It's not just luck, it's skill, but it's also the research that goes into it. So he's going to have some rough days and he'll battle back.
Yes, that is true. The other guys drive nice cars as well. But it's 2 starts in a row where his command has been an issue. His next start will be at Dodger Stadium. So I think it'll be interesting to see, because when he pitched against the Cardenales, he looked great. He went 6 innings. So
if his hand falls off while he's pitching, I'll worry. But at this point, we'll just kind of wait and see.
Again, it goes back to consistency, right? What we were talking about with Michael Grove. And that's what you want. You want so he's had 2 sub Bobby Miller outings. And so let's see if he bounces back. Same thing happened with Yamamoto. He didn't look very good in Korea. And now Yamamoto has put 2 starts back to back that are confidence builders. And I think what Bobby Miller needs is a start where it's a little bit more of a confidence builder. So hopefully we will see that from Bobby in the next homestand.
And maybe we could all just be a little patient too. Just throwing that out there.
Just put it. It's not a criticism. I'm just telling you, this is what I saw in Minnesota.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm just saying, little patience, little patience.
We're gonna update a story that we have been actually covering all year, and that is let's go to the news. Let's go to the update desk, and Amy can update this on us.
So the Fanatics uniforms. I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday that you sent me that message. But I think it was, let me check my notes. It was Riley Green from Detroit sliding into home and his pants completely ripped at the seam on the outside of his leg where he connected with the ground. And luckily, because me and my best friend were rewatching the replay, he had at least like some of those like warm up or like leggings pants underneath. But if he had just slid and that was like he would have had abrasions all over his leg. So that's not great.
I don't think I've ever seen a pant rip that. Have you seen a pant rip like that during a
He didn't
baseball
even
game?
no, and he didn't even go like super hard against the base. It wasn't like there was like he's trying to beat the catcher there. Like it was like a regular play. He just slid in and his pants didn't survive.
I'm going to take the L on this one, guys, because I had told you in previous episodes I was very confident that this would be fixed before the start of the season, and apparently it is not fixed. And I was thinking about you when I was watching the Minnesota series, Amy, when they were wearing their City Connect, when the Gemelos were wearing their City Connect jerseys. I forget who the pitcher was on the mound, but his pants were see-through. I could see like what he was wearing underneath, and I
Pocket,
remember,
you can see pockets, like
yes.
the pockets stand out more because the pants are so see-through.
Yeah, you see the undershirt. I mean, it was just like I kept thinking of Amy. I was like, this is what Amy was talking about. So it's one of those things where, and not only that, but then there was something else that you saw with Freddie Freeman, right?
Well, so even before we get into Freddie Freeman, there was a couple of tweets floating around about like if you look up Fanatics, there's a whole bunch of stuff floating around. Like if you just do a search on it, but I think Blake Williams had posted just kind of a breakdown of some of these tweets that he'd seen across Twitter and the City Connect jerseys. A lot of them are even on back order. So the Giants, the Rangers, the Brewers, the Cardinals have been told that they won't get theirs till June. Seattle Fanatics has said that they can't ship it till they get them in stock. Like uh, I mean, maybe I'm going to try to be positive here. Maybe they were scheduled to go out later in the year, but it sounds like these teams from the context in the tweets that they should have had them by now. So
Well, one of the things that fascinates whenever I see this whole uniform debacle, all I do is hear your voice in my head and quoting Rob Manfred's favorite quote about this. Amy, the floor is yours. Can you give me the quote, please?
I have so many quotes in my head right now. Which one is it?
They are the. Go ahead, say it.
No,
Say it.
no,
No,
I can't.
I like it. I like it when you say it. Go ahead, say it.
I no, like these are supposed to be the best uniforms ever. Like they've been tested.
They are the most tested. No
Ever.
other uniform has been tested more than this one. But yet we're seeing it rip at the seams.
Freddie
They're
Freeman's
see-through.
missing patches on his jersey. So Bill Plunkett had tweeted on X that on Tuesday, nobody had said anything. He noticed it and mentioned it to Freddie, but his LA patch and his Guggenheim patch weren't on the uniform. Nobody noticed it. How do you not have patches?
That is true. I wonder, Amy, if that uniform that he was wearing that didn't have patches, if that was last year's uniform.
Maybe. I think there was also one floating around where there's an Angels player and he's signing a jersey. Yes. Yeah, you want to tell it?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, he was just a fan. He was signing an autograph for somebody and they had the older jersey and he had a moment with it. He was just like, "Oh God." And he's like comparing it to the one he's wearing and you can just tell like better quality. Like the players know and we're past opening day and they're still not fixed.
Yeah, I take the L on that. I was confident this would be fixed, and it has not. I mean, it is very noticeable, and I've never seen a baseball player's pant rip the way that ripped.
So we're having supply issues. We're having quality issues. They're still see through. So it just it's an interesting look because the companies are, I think somebody pointed out on Twitter, these aren't mom and pop shops that are making them. It's Nike and Fanatics. So it's just an interesting situation to be in.
I'm very surprised that Nike still has not fixed this. I just, it's not a good look for Nike. I mean, look, Fanatics has already taken the hit on this, but now Nike is taking the strays on this, and I'm surprised by it. I really am surprised that they have allowed this to go this far. But you had mentioned the City Connect, so the Dodgers are supposed to debut their new City Connect on June 17th.
If they arrive.
Exactly. Now, from what you told me, Amy, I'm not too confident. Like, I find it so interesting because there are still some Major League Baseball teams that haven't even had one City Connect, and now the Dodgers are going to be on their second City Connect.
Second or third?
This is their second.
Okay.
The first one was Los Dodgers, and so this is going to be their second. And I know a lot of people were not happy with like Los Dodgers. They thought like you guys kind of like really half-assed this. You guys really didn't put much thought into this. So they have an opportunity to correct that. People are anticipating what's it going to be. Bill Shankin has a very interesting article.
I'm gonna stop you for a second before you even say what it is. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm saying no chance this happens. No chance.
Oh no. It's not. It's not gonna. I agree with you.
I wish it would, but no chance. Carry on.
Yeah, no. I agree with you. So what Amy's talking about in the story, and I don't know if you guys, because this was in spring training. There was a spring training game where they focused on a fan who was wearing a hat that has the LA logo in the middle of the hat, but it's spelled out villains, right? So Bill Shaken, I think jokingly, and I think it was very clear he was joking, was that the Dodgers should embrace this being the villains. He had mentioned Miles Michaelis, referring to the Dodgers as checkbook baseball. It's like just embrace the whole villainy, and that their City Connect uniforms should be an all-black uniform with villains, kind of following the same thing that this guy who had made these hats. So it triggered a very interesting conversation for me because I've seen other people wearing that hat, and that sometimes there is some what's the word that you call it? I don't want to say it's not pirate. Is it
copyright?
Contraband. Contraband. There is some contraband that I feel is like really stylish, and it's like, oh, that looks cool. I want something like the villain's hat with the LA in it. It to me counts as contraband. Now, in the past, like years ago, there used to be, I have my Dodgers gaban, right? And those gabans used to be sold at Placita Olvera. And this was back when Frank McCourt owned the Dodgers, right? So I would see people walking around Dodger Stadium with their gabans, and I was like, oh, dude, that looks so cool. I want one. Where'd you get it? And they told me it was at Placita Olvera. But then McCourt and the Dodgers went to Placita Olvera, and they stopped that person from selling those gabans. Now, again, I want to be fair because, like Amy said, that is a trademark. The Dodgers logo is trademark. There is a copyright. If I made something, I wouldn't want someone taking my work and then they're making money out of it. Okay, I understand that. So I want to be fair to the Dodgers, but at the same time, it's like, couldn't they just work with these people and be like, you know what? That is cool that you make it. Let's work something out where you still get to make your money.
Hold, please. I dropped my notebook. Carry on.
Where, the fans get to get the product, but, it's more of a partnership, and it's not viewed as David versus Goliath, where the Dodgers are viewed as the big bad, dudes who are coming in here and crushing the little guy who's trying to make a living. So in that article in the LA Times, I encourage you guys to read it. There is a guy, it's a barbershop. I think his name is Anthony Madrid. The barbershop is called Villain. It's Villain Barbershop. And online, you can get that Dodger Villain hat. And also they had mentioned Villa's Tacos. And Villa's Tacos is a place that before this story even broke, they make really good tacos. And I've seen that guy, the owner of Via Tacos, and I tip my hat to that dude because he's a really hard worker. He started off Via Tacos selling tacos out of the backyard of his house. He has a brick and mortar now in Highland Park. They just added another location inside the Central Market in downtown LA. So my hat's off. He makes good tacos and he's a hustler. Like you see him out there working. So I want to give him props, but the logo to Via Tacos is very reminiscent to the Dodger logo with the baseball flying through the sky. And I always wondered, how does he get away with that? Like, why haven't the Dodgers come down on that?
And I think that's the risk you take. And personally, I wouldn't want to do that because I don't want to have to deal with all that stuff. If they're willing to take that risk, that's great. I tend to be more of a rule follower when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so I'm just like, let's just take the path of least resistance. So, good for them.
I know, but I agree with you in the sense I don't expect the Dodgers City Connect to be the villains thing. But I did
would be
like
cool. It would be cool.
And I tip my hat to Bill Shaken because he interviewed both the founder of ES Tacos and the Anthony Madrid from Villains Barbershop, saying, "Hey, are you sure you want me to write this story? Because you're going to get more attention, and the Dodgers may come knocking on your door, giving you a cease and desist to actually both of them." But I really like what the story was saying was that at this point, like Bill Shaken was like, "Well, what if the Dodgers work with these?" Like, how about having Via's Tacos inside the Dodger Stadium? Like, Via's Tacos are fantastic. To me, they're better than any other taco they sell in Dodger Stadium. So I think it would be a win-win to have Via's Tacos in there because you're going to have good food. But at the same time, as the Dodgers, you are showing everybody we are working with the community. To me, that is a win-win. So I thought that was an interesting story. Amy, before we move on, your thoughts on that story?
I like I really, what drew me was the guy who owns the barbershop was actually talking about some of that like checkbook baseball. And he's like, the Dodgers put their money in behind their team. They support their team. And if other teams have a problem with that, that's their team, which is something that we've already echoed on this show. So it's kind of nice to hear other Dodgers fans have a similar perspective where we're talking about like, hey, you know what? We do have a really good ownership group that puts money into this team and we see it play out on the field. So I just thought that was kind of cool to see that in the article.
Yeah, so check it out. It's Bill Shaken in the LA Times. Before we wrap things up, Amy, the show pods are coming in to Los Angeles this weekend for a 3-game set. How many games are you going to go to in this series, Amy?
Well, I would have gone to more, but you and I are going to the Quakes game on Saturday. So
another good reminder, everybody, check us out. We will be at Rancho Cucamonga on Saturday for Chaquetas night. So if you guys are going to be there, make sure you say hi to Amy and I. So again, Amy,
I will be there. I'll be there on Sunday, but most likely in more of a media capacity. So but I will be watching the other games.
So just one game then.
Yeah, I know. I'm like already shaking. Like I'm having withdrawals of not being in the stadium.
So the show pods are coming in. They are 7-8. They're in second place, 3 games behind the Doyers. Amy, I know we should pat ourselves in the back. We had a victory with the Gemelo series. What are you expecting with the Doyers and the show pods this weekend?
I'm hoping for another 2 out of 3, only because no matter what's going on with the Padres, they tend to play up when they play us, and sometimes we tend to play down. So I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping we come out with a 2-1 or 2 out of 3. We've got Yamamoto on the mound Friday, Stone on Saturday, Paxton on Sunday. So kind of see how they stand out. What are your thoughts? Are you 2 out of 3? Are you going with the sweep?
I'm going to go 2 out of 3. I think the Dodgers play really well at home. The things that concern me about this series is that the show pods offense is actually pretty good. They are second in home runs, third in runs in all of Major League Baseball. The only teams that are ahead of them in that category is the Dodgers. So they have that young kid, Jackson Merrill. He's hitting 300 right now. So offensively, and they just took 2 out of 3 out of the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs handed it to the Dodgers in Wrigley Field. So I think there is truth to what you're saying. The show pods play up. I know Fernando Tatis is very excited because there is a plaque out in the left field pavilion of when I was at that game when
I was
he
at
hit
that game
home run.
too. We were both at
Yeah,
that game.
we were. So you
I
didn't
think
Joe House me there. You did not Joe House
we
me there.
we equaled, but I was in the pavilion and it went over. We were standing up at that rail, so we were like, we watched it go over.
No, I was a right field, down the right field line, field level, and I looked at Wendy and I said, "Did that just go out of the stadium?" And then I looked at her nephew and I was like, "Did it go out of the stadium?" And her nephew was like, "Yeah, dude, that went out of the stadium."
Yeah,
So
Hillary and I were like this, and then we heard it like go the other way. So
yeah, so it seems like the show pod's weakness is their pitching. They are currently 22nd in Major League Baseball in pitching. So because of that, and the Dodgers will not see Dylan Cease. They will not face Dylan Cease in this series, and Dylan Cease seems to, from my friend Borna Nazari, that Mr. Show Pod, from what he was telling me, is that Dylan Cease has pitched the best, but Yu Darvish is supposed to pitch on Sunday, and Yu Darvish has always pitches really tough against the Dodgers. In Korea, he pitched really tough, but the Dodgers made him work and they were able to get him out early. So because of the fact that the show pods are swinging the bat well, but from what Borna tells me, their bullpen it needs some work because of that, and the fact that the Dodgers
see how it goes.
Yeah, and the fact that the Dodgers play well at home, I expect them to win 2 out of 3.
All right. Well, there we go. Jose Ayala,
Okay.
I expect to see a comment later with your your picks.
And this is one thing. Jose Ayala, you're on the clock, buddy. This is your last series because hey, you guys, you viewers, you listeners, you're more than welcome to join in on this. Jose Ayala gave us a very bold pick, and he said that Shohei Ohtani would be leading the Dodgers in home runs by the end of this week. Jose, you have until Sunday to see, because if not, we got receipts for you, buddy. So I know you're already nervous, but I know you're expecting Shohei to have a huge series this weekend. So
I do have one more thing to add. So we do have a listener who also has an Aries birthday or an April birthday with me. So Philip also had a birthday this week. So huge shout out to our listeners and people who share my birthday month. I said
That's right.
but I guess it's our. Fine.
Let's give a big shout out to Philip Lopez, big supporter of the show. Happy belated birthday. His birthday was after Amy's. Amy, any last words before we end the show?
Yay, April birthdays.
All right, guys, let's take care of business here. If you've been listening on the podcast, please make sure you rate us, write us a review. Help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. And follow us on social media. On X at BB Shangri-La. On Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You have been listening, watching Baseball Shangri-La. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.